Okay, finally, we're sitting down to record this video. You may be wondering, what do you mean finally? But this video I sat down to record last Tuesday, and we know what news broke last Tuesday, which not only changed my entire schedule for the day, but for the entire week as event after event played out for the Xbox side of things, and we covered all of that in grand detail. Now, after a week-long stretch of what many would call negativity, we're here to put a little positivity out there, as I'm quite excited for the Bethesda side of things when it comes to the Xbox showcase. If leaks are to be believed, both past and present, we're gonna get into that with especially some newer leaks. I mentioned this whole positivity thing because it's always fascinating from my end to see the internet turmoil play out in this cycle over and over because I've done this for so long. At first, everyone's outraged together, right? We're making our videos, posting our tweets, everyone's mad, world's on fire. Then we get to the next stage. People move on because they're looking at something else to be mad at. And then we get to stage 3 where people like myself stay consistent, right? Like, hey, things are still happening, we're still covering it, hold the feet to the fire, just doing our job. Then we're at stage 4 right now, where if I were to dare to make another critical video of Xbox, which if there was something going on, I would have, I'm starting to see the tweets pop up, the comments pop up like, oh, Matty, you're so negative. You're just doing this for clicks and engagement. Every time. It's just so funny because it's why the cycle repeats, because many YouTubers are like, well, I don't want to bother anybody, so they move on to the next subject. So yeah, it's so funny to see how it plays out. But today's video, again, week in the planning, let's get into what's going on with Xbox, with Bethesda, because there's been a lot of leaks. If you're new here, consider subscribing. Would love to have you here. Let's start off at the top talking about Doom. So we've been wondering what id has been up to for a while. There were prior leaks suggesting something going on with Quake, like a potential Quake reboot. We did see that Quake 2 remaster last year. I think what's going to likely happen with Quake is they're going to continue to remaster all of the older entries before they bring out a new one, whether it be a reboot or a new entry in the franchise. It's starting to seem more and more like a new Doom game is on the way, which certainly after Doom Eternal especially, I would not complain about. That game is fire, pardon the pun. So why do we think a new Doom game is coming? Well, there's a lot of signs pointing to its existence. Let's start off with something more recent that we covered in a prior video. In a write-up by Tom Warren of The Verge, who has been the source of many an Xbox leak, he did end it with this comment here, where Xbox has to lift the doom around their console. Very interesting choice of words, very much one of those situations where with the capital D and it's italicized, it's pretty on the nose, and when asked about it, you can see he's getting a little cheeky with it, which makes me start to think he knows something, which he typically does. But it's not just that. It's also a recent trademark submitted by ZeniMax called IDKFA. Now, what this stands for, I have learned, is I don't know fuck all, which is a cheat code that unlocks the game's weapons and grants you mega armor. But this is, in fact, connected to Doom, and usually when you see a recent trademark listing pop up, it means something is likely happening with the license. Now, I don't know if this directly connects to Doom itself in a way where it's the actual game name or something, or it's a component of Doom. I would lean toward the side of it being a part of it. We always know that it does these weird multiplayer modes, like in Doom 2016, they had a traditional multiplayer. Then in 2020, you had like the Battleground one, which I just did not like at all. So I wonder if they're gonna do another new twist on multiplayer here with the newest Doom, which I think may be Doom Year Zero. We're gonna go back to this one a number of times in this video, but yes, according to the FTC leak, Doom Year Zero was something that was being planned. Separately, Eurogamer has stated they have heard a Doom announcement is coming at this year's Summer Games Fest in June. So it's possible it's not even at the Xbox showcase, but nonetheless, it's a Bethesda announcement. And I could see it working this way because typically what happens is id Software camps out at QuakeCon and does a big gameplay reveal there. I was actually at the one they did for Doom Eternal. Being there live was absolutely sick. So my guess is we get a title card reveal, maybe like a CG trailer, and hey, we'll see you with gameplay at QuakeCon to promote that upcoming event. That would be my guess. But yeah, it seems like a new Doom is soon to be announced within the next month. The Verge also had a leak featuring dates for not just Starfield, but Indiana Jones, which you can kind of start to mark on your calendar. We have Starfield getting an expansion in September in Shattered Space, which we already assumed it was coming out this year, but that'll mark it as 1 year from the game's original launch. And then and Indiana Jones is currently set to release in December, which I am wondering if that's going to hold. There are games, high-profile games that have released in December. I think of Smash Bros. Ultimate, I think of Halo Infinite if you want an Xbox example, I think of High on Life, which I know isn't like a big popping game like of a platform holder, but it was a game that did really well in December. So I feel like December is less and less becoming a risky month, so I could see them sticking to it here with Indiana Jones. Certainly, we all feel it's time to see something from Machine Games when it comes to a release. It's been since Wolfenstein Youngblood, which was really a co-developed effort. One thing we learned with the Starfield May update is that this expansion will be based around House Faroon. This was confirmed on the bottom right corner of a screen where you could see it mentioned in some of the code and assets listed in the game. To me, as someone who loves Andreja in Starfield, this is music to my ears. I am absolutely stoked to learn more about this faction, hopefully make more of a, if you will, face-to-face encounter. So very, very pumped about that. Curious to see where they go with the story, the exploration, and I do anticipate them highlighting new free updates on the way for the rest of the year. I feel like if you want Starfield to really get on its feet and start running again, you need to ensure that it's really coming out swinging hard. I mean, not just the expansion showing out and doing well, but the feeling of updates and the expansion addressing concerns, really showing out with modding, dating things, what's going to arrive for the rest of the year, like really setting the table for a second half push from Starfield. With the May update, which we'll cover later this week, it looks to be adding a lot of great stuff in the mix. And so I anticipate that they're going to detail some sort of updates coming to Starfield later in the year alongside the expansion showcase. Like, it's not just going to be, hey, here's this, but here's vehicles, here's exploration, here's this, here's that, and so on and so forth. This report from The Verge also mentions that Xbox will be showing off some of its 2025 lineup, so I don't think there should be a worry of limits when it comes to announcements. That's important because we need to talk about Fallout. There are things that we know about Fallout that have been leaked. There are certain Fallout products that have picked up a lot of steam, and obviously after the Fallout TV show, the franchise is in the best spot it has ever been when it comes to popularity. It is time to cash in and put out a new Fallout game. What's the most likely one? Look, I have to say it again. I know I say it every year, so I apologize, but I do think this has to be the year of the Fallout 3 remaster. You know, you see it leaked. It said it was coming out in 2024. We know some of these projects got canceled. You know, we see things on the FTC document from Arcane Austin, Tango Gameworks that are no longer going to happen. I don't know about y'all. I find it kind of tough to stomach. I mean, granted, I'm a huge fan of Fallout, but I find it tough to stomach from a business standpoint that they would just walk away from a Fallout 3 remaster. Feel like that's kind of easy money every single day of the week, and especially now. Why wouldn't you at least announce it? I think even if it's not arriving sometime this year, you can still show it off. I don't think you get something like a New Vegas 2. I don't think you get something like a Fallout 5 title card. Like, I don't think you're gonna get any of those, like a new Fallout project. I think it's too soon for that based on what we've heard from Todd Howard, where they're just starting to really expedite things. But I think a Fallout 3 remaster, presumably in the works, if we're to believe an FTC document leak, should be ready to go by this point in time. The question is, do they release it this year? Does it interfere with what's going on with Starfield Shattered Space? How much does Xbox want to cram into the second half of the year, where they're kind of setting themselves up for another 2021-like push where nothing really happening in the front half, except here we have Hellblade 2 coming up very shortly. But at the end of that year, you had like Psychonauts 2, Age of Empires 4, you had Halo Infinite, you had Forza Horizon 5, like it was back to back to back. And I know Xbox wants to spread that stuff out. So I'm curious if they put 2 BGS products in the back half of the year, since that's one of the companies that's remained mostly untouched throughout all of these giant changes, because it's likely the cash cow in the Bethesda family for Xbox. And you also got to wonder, with the popularity of Fallout 76, the Skyline Valley update, do you bring 76 to the big stage? I mean, the public's kind of ready for it. There's been a turnaround on the optics for 76, which is not something I ever anticipated happening, but I am thrilled to see people are really taking to this game. And I'm super stoked for Skyline Valley to come out. That is something I will be covering on the channel, because I am actually so excited. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm actually so excited for it that I saw a developer video and I watched, I think Lone talked about it in one of his videos. And when I peeped both of them out, I tabbed out early because I went, this looks so good. Like, I don't want to spoil this for myself. And I've never felt that with 76. So I'm really keen on this update. Probably the first time I felt this keen for an update in the game since Wastelanders. So I really hope it delivers. But I could imagine 76 maybe having a statement on the stage about what's to come for the rest of the year. You know, again, you have the most players on this game it has ever seen. It's widely accepted now. People have forgave it for its sins. maybe it's time to come out and say, like, here's what we're planning. Here's our next big swing, especially if we have, and I know this has been a running theory of mine for a while, you had the leak of DuPont Circle appearing in Fallout 76. And I wonder if you have this crossover of here's the Fallout 3 remaster, and by the way, we're bringing Fallout 3 to 76 in this fun way, and sort of do this cross promotion that makes sense for you. Kind of kill two birds with one stone. I think that would work. I think it makes a lot of sense. We'll see if they actually go ahead and do it. The other monkey wrench you kind of throw in there is the Oblivion remake, which, if we're to believe leaks from Reddit, which then lined up with leaks from Xbox's own documents, yeah, an Oblivion remake is on the way, and it's potentially at the end of this year or the start of next year. And if, according to what we saw in the FTC document, Fallout 3 remasters also due out sometime in this year, and even if you push it back a little bit to next year, how do you spread these out? What comes first? What's too much? Because now you have an interesting situation of a Starfield expansion, Oblivion remake, and a Fallout 3 remaster all at once. And I mean, if they all come out around the same time, I'm not going to be complaining. I will be swimming in that BGS content. You already know how I'll be feeling, right? Because this is stuff we have been begging for a while. However, it's also good to spread the wealth. I think, again, from a fan standpoint, like the problem we're having is being able to have enough time to play all these things, but also from the business standpoint, you kind of want to make sure you spread the wealth. And so I'm not advocating that they just hold the Oblivion remake for a long while just because, you know, it's good for the business, but I mean, it might be good for consumers just to have time to play these humongous games, these humongous expansions at different points throughout the year instead of just all at once. So I'm very curious to see if all of these get announced, because they all seem to be synchronizing around the same timing. And oh man, would I lose my mind if in the same showcase of an Oblivion remake, you get a Fallout 3 remaster, and of course, knowing Starfield's definitely going to be there. That's an exciting showcase for me already. I don't need anything else at that point in time. Next thing is Hi-Fi Rush getting ported to Switch. The report right now, according to Eurogamer, is that Hi-Fi Rush will launch on Nintendo Switch 2. I'm curious if Xbox is going to sit down and talk about PlayStation and Switch games at all on their own stage. We already know Nintendo's having their own Direct in June, so I feel like you can throw Hi-Fi Rush in there, especially if we're already seeing Summer Games Fest is going to be where Doom shows up, so Xbox can kind of put these other announcements in different places. But yeah, this one's going to sting. This is going to twist the knife a little bit. This is not going to look good for Xbox, but I do think Hi-Fi Rush is going to do very well on Switch. I've always said this feels like the perfect system for this game, and I could see fans really taking to it. And again, I've always said that Xbox is going to deeply regret shutting down Tango, and I think it could sneak up on them quicker than they imagine if Hi-Fi Rush does really well on presumably Switch 2, but I don't know if that's something they announce on their own showcase, but still another Bethesda related announcement that's been reported before. And so that's where we kind of stand with Bethesda. Is it possible we see some of these mobile games that they're in love with at the team? Maybe. I think that could also be something they show off, but Bethesda could cram so much into a showcase, and that's what's kind of exciting about them being a part of the Xbox showcase. Is there were times, as someone who covered Bethesda for a while, they did their own showcases, and there were years they were banging. Like 2015 and 16, I think, were awesome showcases between the famous Fallout 4 one, the reveal of Dishonored 2, and so on. And then you get years like 2017 where it was like really bad. And so you'd always have to rely on BGS to hard carry them. Like 2018, for I know, is the year of 76. When you look at it in that bubble of having Fallout 76, which was kind of interesting, like what is this online Fallout game, and then Starfield, and then you also have Elder Scrolls 6 announced. It was kind of like a big moment for Bethesda showcase. But now, because they're kind of the sideshow, this is really good because they get to just kind of thrive in their own little pockets here. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think that they're shaping up to have a really good addition to all of these showcases. And I can't wait to see all of these games personally. And let's hope all of them do come to fruition. I mean, some of them have leaked multiple times, so, you know, it would just be our luck that like the Fallout 3 remaster, it's been leaked a ton of times, or Oblivion, been leaked a ton of times, just doesn't show up. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, would love to hear your thoughts. Fire away down below. Let me know what you're thinking. Other than that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next video. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.